remember this?
This is indeed a national crisis and it's a national challenge. And we're facing this with a spirit of national unity.
It's hard to believe it was just a month ago. There's been a budget, a housing and migration debate, and controversy over the government's handling of immigration detainees in between. But a key issue in helping women deal with domestic violence seems to have slipped out of view.
So the importance of specialist legal assistance for women at the point of separation is really critical. What it can do is it can get between women and their abusive ex-partner at that point of separation when they're engaging with legal processes.
In June last year, the Albanese government announced an independent review of the current funding agreement between the federal and state governments for legal assistance, an agreement which is due to expire next year.
There's broad-based acceptance that the funding for legal assistance has been chronically underfunded for decades. There's no side of Parliament, there's no part of the sector that will tell you a different story. At the moment, the legal assistance services that exist simply can't meet the demand. Every week, Women's Legal Services turn away 1,000 women. 1,000 women a week who approach our services and can't get help.
Given the domestic violence crisis, there had been some expectation that last month's budget might take some remedial steps to improve funding before a new agreement is negotiated and begins next year. After all, the Monday Review, as it is known, reported to the AG in March and called for the government to stop treating the sector, quote, like sporting clubs bidding for funds, making 39 recommendations for reform. But no.
The report was pretty damning. I mean, it's rare, I think, that you read a report that recommends jettisoning the entire basis of a funding model for a service sector. And it recommended an increase in funding of $460 million. What we saw in the budget just gone was less than a tenth of that.
$44.1 million was outlined in the budget. It is a far cry from the $459 million recommended in the Monday report.
So it means that for many qualified lawyers who have, absolutely the best interests of the community at heart, that want to be part of responding to domestic and family violence, to discrimination on the grounds of gender and race and other things like that, they actually are put into a position where they can't afford to take the jobs that we have on offer. What that means is there are less services able to be delivered in the community.
Last week at Senate estimates, the Attorney General's Department was grilled on implementing the recommendations.
But when you read the Monday report, it talks about a sector in crisis with multiple crises, all of which are centred around inadequate funding. That's what the Monday report, that's the core of the Monday report. Wouldn't you agree, Secretary?
It certainly highlights the need for all governments to consider how to contribute greater funding to the sector.
Today in question time, the Attorney-General acknowledged the budget funding was a drop in the ocean.
Negotiations with the states and territories will continue over coming months to shape the new agreement. I would note that $44.1 million of urgent funding was announced in the budget for the legal assistance sector. The government understands absolutely that this will not fix all of the issues currently facing the sector.
What I would say to all levels of government is this is your opportunity to remedy the problem that we all know and accept. Governments have outsourced the care and empowerment of the most vulnerable and most at-risk people to our sector, and they should fund us like they want us to succeed.